Hey, Pretty Girl Club. So, I wanted to talk about this HBCU student. She is clearly an exotical, but she got gaslit because she denounced her membership in Delta Sigma Theta sorority. And for those of you who know, that is one of those black sororities. And this girl says that she is a Christian and that apparently it goes against her beliefs, which is fine. I don't care whether people want to join a sorority or whether they think it's demonic. That's not the part I want to talk about. What I want to talk about is the hypocrisy because people have been denouncing their memberships in sororities for religious reasons for decades now. I mean, I've seen hundreds, if not thousands, of unambiguous people denouncing their memberships in sorority. So, why is it that all of a sudden, when this pretty girl denounces her membership and then she writes a letter kind of exposing some of the things that they do, and then she ends up gaining thousands of followers on social media, then suddenly people are outraged and mad? And I've noticed this pattern in the black community where if you are viewed as a person that has social power, whether you have pretty privilege, whether you have some sort of mixed race privilege, light skin privilege, hair texture privilege, it could be any form of privilege that makes you stand out in the black community. I've noticed that your words and your actions carry a lot more weight. And so, one thing I've noticed about this particular girl is out of every single person that I've ever seen denounce sororities over the years, why is she getting all of this coverage? And now there are people on TikTok and on YouTube, even Queen Chama did a video about this girl saying that apparently she was trying to get membership into that sorority for like 2 years, and then she did the whole probate thing where they show you like stepping and kind of like getting clout on the college campus, and then suddenly within 30 days she wants to denounce it. And now she is gaining all of these followers. People are saying, oh, wow, good job for standing up for your beliefs. And people are kind of like starting to follow her. So she's becoming more of an influencer now after denouncing this sorority. And people are upset about that. And it's like, even if she did join the sorority and then she decided, hey, I don't want to be a part of this, I'm going to quit, and she happens to social climb her way into being an influencer because of it, so what? That is a part of having social power. She has the right to use her power. She has the right to use her voice. She has the right to utilize her beauty, her status, her Instagram page, her TikTok page, and do whatever she wants so that she can live the life she wants to live. And I saw a lot of people saying, oh, if she were a real Christian, then like she would have never joined in the first place. She should have done more of her research. She would have known what she was getting into. And it's like, even if she did do everything disingenuously, like let's say she deceived her way into the organization and then deceived her way out so that she could gain social media followers, even if she did that, so what? That's called alchemy. That's called transmutation. That's what you get when you think you can control someone or when you think you can raise the status of your organization. And then that girl decides on her own, hey, I don't like how I'm being treated, or I don't like what this organization stands for. And so now I'm going to take back my membership and I'm going to utilize it to my advantage. Have you ever noticed that whenever someone is already viewed or perceived as privileged in the black community, suddenly the whole conversation becomes about she's a clout chaser? I didn't see as many people talking about how that's really bad, she shouldn't have been hazed or she shouldn't have been disrespected or, good job for her standing up for her beliefs. No, I saw a lot of comments online where people are like, oh, she's just doing this so she can gain followers. She's probably going to start a new brand after this. She's probably just trying to gain clout. And I've noticed that there's this rhetoric where whenever you're considered the pretty girl, people automatically assume that you are a social climber or they assume that you are some sort of clout chaser, which, by the way, I don't even take that as an insult anymore because I would rather be seen as a person of status and a person of stature rather than being seen as someone who's at the bottom. But I noticed the same thing happen with Cassie as well when she got beat up by Diddy, where instead of paying attention to the fact that, hey, she was beat up and this is bad, there were people who were trying to make it like, oh, well, that's what she gets for being a clout chaser. That's what she gets for trying to seek after status. It didn't work out for her. And I noticed that over the years, even going back to this whole sorority thing, anytime I've seen unambiguous women denouncing their sororities, for the most part, I see people saying, good job, stand up for what you believe in, or they simply don't care. But why is it that suddenly when we see a pretty face, when we see a girl who has a nice body or whatever, nice hair and everything, and she is viewed, we already know that in the black community, her phenotype would be viewed as a privileged phenotype. Why is it that suddenly about her, she's getting all this media coverage, she's sparking all of these debates, a lot of people in the entire Delta Sigma Theta sorority are super like embarrassed about this because I guess she was exposing the fact that they have to bow to an altar or something spiritual where like I guess a lot of Christians would have a problem with it. But it's like, why do people give us so much social power to the point where you could literally be a nobody? And I'm not trying to say this girl was a nobody, but it's like you could literally have no power. You know, you don't have as much power as an entire sorority that's been around for over 100 years. But suddenly, when you speak out and when you disagree with someone, then people have the need to come and put you in your place, or they have the need to come expose you, like, oh, you were probably a clout chaser anyway. Oh, you're just mad because you couldn't afford to stay in the sorority. Like, I heard people online, they were talking about how this girl, she basically could not afford to be sponsored. I guess you have to pay thousands of dollars to be a part of these organizations, and some of the girls can't afford it. And so they get people to like sponsor them or like put money towards their membership. And so now we've got people talking about her socioeconomic status, but imagine if this would have been an unambiguous monoracial woman. And imagine if I would have came on here and said, well, that's too bad. You just couldn't afford it. You just couldn't stay in it. I would be called a colorist for saying the same types of things. And another thing that people won't admit is that when they go to these HBCUs, when they join these black sororities and fraternities, oftentimes you are doing it partially because you want the social power that is associated with it. These organizations were created so that underprivileged African Americans can attain social power. So that's nothing to be ashamed of. I've noticed that people only shame you for having social power when you have more privilege than them. So saying that this girl only joined this organization for clout, or she was expecting to get clout, or she wanted some sort of social power from this, there's nothing wrong with that. There is nothing wrong with wanting to level up in life. There's nothing wrong with wanting connections if that's what she wanted. But if for any reason she felt like she wasn't getting that, or if she changed her mind or utilized selective authenticity, then that is her right. People were saying, oh, the girls in the organization at Howard University, they didn't know that she was a Christian. So she didn't tell anybody she was a Christian until after she denounced it. Okay, but still, you've watched channels like Chrissy's, you've watched all these black empowerment channels, they talk about utilizing selective authenticity. So why is it only okay when unambiguous people use selective authenticity, but suddenly when this girl utilizes selective authenticity, it's not okay, and she's a fake ass bitch, and she's a clout chaser, and she's just trying to start a brand? So do you see the internalized pedestalization? Do you see how it only becomes an uproar when the pretty girls start leaving these organizations, or when the women with status in real life, like outside of this organization, when you know that you would be privileged whether you're a part of the sorority or not, when these types of girls start leaving the organizations, then the actual organization itself gets offended because they feel like, oh, wait a minute, you're contributing to lowering our social status. I saw some people from her sorority commenting saying that they were going to sue her, or they were going to put some legal paperwork on her, or basically they were trying to legally intimidate her into not talking about her Christian beliefs, or not, exposing some of these rituals that they're doing, I guess. And it's like, if this girl is truly irrelevant, if this girl truly has no social power, she has no privilege, nobody's going to listen to her, then why do you care about some random letter that she wrote because she's a Christian and she wants to leave this organization? A lot of people join these fraternities and sororities because they know that outside of that organization, they don't have any privileges in real life, or at least that's how a lot of people feel. That's why they were created. They were created so that underprivileged people could begin to experience privilege, or they could begin to have some sort of status in society. So why are we now shaming this girl because she is simply playing unfair in an unfair world? I talk about this all the time on my channel. Why play fair in an unfair world? And also, why is it that Exoticals are expected to be morally superior? Have you ever noticed that? Why are we always expected to be the bigger person, to stay silent, to not speak up, to not stand up for ourselves, to just take it? If you get hazed, I know a lot of these organizations haze people. So if you get hazed, you're not allowed to get pissed off and leave the organization because, then you're being fake and a clout chaser. And it's like, what if she joined the organization and everything was fine, and then after she was a member of it, she decided, I don't like this anymore? She has the right to change her mind. Have you ever noticed that a lot of people, they want you to have the same mindset 24/7, and then they'll try to like get mad at you for changing? They'll be like, "Oh, well you're a hypocrite because you changed your mind. You were a Christian before you joined that sorority, and then after you joined it, now you want to try to reverse it. Now you want to try to get out of it." Yeah, people have the right to change their minds. People have the right to go where they are celebrated. Maybe that girl didn't feel celebrated, or maybe she didn't feel like her religious beliefs were celebrated by that organization. And so she has the right to leave it if she wants to. And if people are following her on Instagram now, why are you mad? Why are you mad that she now has followers on Instagram? Why are you mad that now her face is all over social media and she's getting opportunities? Oftentimes, the same people who get mad at you would take your place if they could. And another thing that I've noticed is that just because people are in a sorority, it does not mean that it's impossible for them to still be jealous of girls like this one. It doesn't mean that suddenly they feel like they're so confident now because they joined a sorority. No, a lot of girls who are very insecure join sororities and stuff like that because they want to finally feel noticed and seen, and they want to finally be celebrated for once, and they want to be seen strolling on the yard or with their colors on and stuff like that. And I also saw that people were mad at this girl because they literally said she was replacing other black women from this college who wanted to be a part of that sorority. They were like, "Oh, there were over 500 girls that wanted to be a part of that sorority, and she replaced them by joining the sorority and then denouncing it." And so do you see how this same rhetoric comes up again when the conversation has nothing to do with race, has nothing to do with being an exotical? Suddenly this random girl from an HBCU gets accused of replacing other women. And it's like, you guys act like this organization wasn't started by black women. You guys act like black women don't have the power in these types of organizations to accept or reject whoever they want. So why is it that this random college student is now getting blamed like, "Oh, you were replacing other people. You're basically ungrateful for your privilege." Have you ever noticed that? Anytime somebody views you as privileged, if they feel like you are not utilizing your privilege properly, they get pissed off. They're like, "Oh no, you should have stayed in that sorority," or like, "You replaced someone. Oh, that's stupid. And now you're denouncing it. Oh my God, now I'm mad because you replaced all these other girls and you're just throwing away opportunities." And it's like, excuse me, this is my life. I have the right to live it however I want to. So they're basically accusing this pretty girl of being fake and, not being real and not being authentic. And it's like, we live in a fake ass society that is full of imposters. We live in a society where people, they either choose to be imposters or they have no choice but to be imposters. So why is it that we are ignoring all of the other billions of imposters and fake people in this world, and we want to randomly focus on how a pretty girl from an HBCU is being fake and she's replacing other women by taking a spot in this Delta Sigma Theta sorority, and that spot could have gone to hundreds of other women, and she's being ungrateful. She's ungrateful for the privilege of being able to be in a sorority. And it's like, not everybody has a scarcity mindset like that. Some of us have an abundance mindset to the point where we know that if one door is closed, another door will be open for us. So we don't have to try to grasp on to any opportunity that presents itself. So this whole "she is replacing other women by joining the sorority," that rhetoric is idiotic to me. It's screaming scarcity mindset. It's giving "I don't have an abundance mindset." It's giving "I have nothing else going for me except for potentially being in a sorority, and now I'm mad at this girl because she replaced somebody who could have been in the sorority and then she denounced it." And also, if it's that serious, if the unambiguous black community is so concerned about not being replaced, couldn't the sorority members have inducted another member? I mean, couldn't you just choose somebody else then to be in the sorority after she gets out of it then? Since you're so concerned about her replacing other women who could have been in the sorority, then why aren't you inducting new members? Because the last time I checked, a lot of these sororities try to be very exclusive, and they try to purposely like exclude certain girls, or like maybe if you can't afford to pay for it or something like that. So why are you talking shit about this student who is recognizing her own value, and she is saying, "Hey, you know what, it's a privilege to have me in your sorority, and so now I'm denouncing it because it goes against my beliefs or because you pissed me off." Doesn't really matter the reason. In my opinion, anybody has a right to not be a part of an organization if they want to. So even if she is doing it only for social climbing purposes and it no longer serves her, she doesn't have to be in an environment where she's not celebrated. So why is she being shamed because she decided to get out of a situation that did not align with her. Another thing I've noticed is that a lot of women want to be a part of these sororities so they can be associated with the positive stereotypes of the women in that sorority. So, for example, I know with Alpha Kappa Alpha, that sorority is known for having a lot of lighter skinned women in it, or in the past, historically, it's been known for having a lot of pretty mixed women in it or pretty light skinned women, whatever. A lot of exoticals. I know that people, they actually accused Alpha Kappa Alpha of like being colorist. Like it got that far at some point. Even though I did hear that all of them were colorist at one point, I'm not sure, to be fair. I don't really know that much about it. But I know that some of these women who joined these sororities in the first place, they just want to be associated with being the pretty girls, or they want to be associated with being the girls who have status and they're popular. They're popular on the college campus, or they're popular within the sorority. And so, even if that's what this girl wanted, if she did not achieve her goal and she decides, okay, this is no longer working for me, I'm getting out of it, I don't want to pay thousands of dollars if this isn't working for me, then I see nothing wrong with that. There's nothing wrong with that at all. People are just pissed because she alchemized it. She turned a negative situation into something positive. She made it work for her. She caused herself to be able to successfully social climb, because I have never seen this much coverage over a college student leaving a sorority, and I have known about people leaving sororities and fraternities for decades at this point. I've seen women on YouTube making entire videos about this for decades, but suddenly when this girl posts it, because she is associated with having pretty privilege and all this other stuff, on a subconscious level, people feel the need to drag her. They feel the need to talk about this. So, have you ever noticed how when you're the pretty girl, you're automatically the trending topic? Whether it's in a positive way or a negative way, you're automatically a trending topic. And I saw some comment foolery. By the way, be sure to follow Exotical Dollhouse. She has an excellent channel. But I saw someone leave some comment foolery on her channel, and they were like, she's just getting attention because she did it in 30 days at the Alpha chapter after she begged some lady to sponsor her after 2 years. Trust, there are plenty that look like her in every org. This is definitely not why. So, first, they try to hit with the "you're not special" rhetoric because they're trying to say she looks just like every girl in a sorority. She looks just like everyone else. So I've noticed this is a typical humbling tactic. You're not that pretty. You're not that cute. You're a 6 out of 10. You're average at best. Everybody looks like you. There's nothing special about you. So that's humbling tactic number one. Humbling tactic number two is she tries to say that she begged a lady to sponsor her for 2 years. Okay, even if she did, let's say she did beg somebody to sponsor her after 2 years, and then the person finally sponsored her, and let's say this girl was a pushover for 2 years. Let's say this girl was jumping through hoops and getting hazed for 2 years, and then she finally crosses and joins that organization, and then she realizes, wait a minute, this wasn't worth shit. Strolling on the yard and wearing the letters and stuff and like being with these fake ass bitches that just hazed me for 2 years. Yeah, this wasn't worth it. And so now I'm denouncing it. I still see nothing wrong with it either way. So even if she did beg for the sponsorship and then she got it or she didn't get it, she has a right to change her mind. She has a right to say, hey, I no longer want to beg for sponsorships. I no longer want to be a people pleaser. If you guys treat me like shit for 2 years, guess what? This is my revenge. Now I'm exposing your asses. Now I'm writing letters on your asses. Now I'm going to get something out of it finally because I'm going to stand up and get my exotical tax. This organization doesn't want to give me my exotical tax, or they don't want to treat me with respect. If they want to haze me, if I have to beg for 2 years, yeah, I'm tired of that shit. So either way, she's not wrong. And I've noticed another argument that people made was she never mentioned she was a Christian before, and now she's mentioning that she is a Christian. Okay, but so what? Once again, people can grow, they can mature, they can change. If she was ashamed of her beliefs before, or if she felt too scared before, and then she finally recognized her worth and she got some boldness, once again, there's nothing wrong with that either. So these people this is literally just fake outrage. People are just mad because she exposed the organization. They thought that they'd be able to bully her into silence, the women of the sorority or whatever, or the people from Howard University. They thought they'd be able to bully her into silence, and she said, fuck this, and she talked about it publicly, and now they have to do damage control because of one pretty little 20-something exotical from an HBCU. And that's the real reason that I think people are mad. But what do you ladies think? Let me know in the comment section, and I'll talk to you next time. Stay pretty, ladies.